Hello, and welcome to another Storytime with Shaw. We will continue our journey into the Tento Saga, much to my dismay, and I'm pretty sure much to everybody else's dismay. I will be your host, theshaofthirst, continuing my punishment for daring to make a goal that people easily reached on one of my previous streams. This will be the second installment, and as usual, I will be limiting these to 2 hours apiece, just so I do not lose my voice and my sanity. Yes, let the hell begin. I would like to say hello to a few people in the chat who were talking. And fortunately, the only people who are going to be acknowledged are going to be the people in the chat, because I can see that you are participating. If you would like to support me in this endeavor to try not to go completely insane, you can donate to the pinned links at the top of the chat if you are on Rumble, or the bottom of the chat if you are on YouTube. If you would also like to send a super chat on YouTube, you absolutely can, and you will be able to see some bouncing boobs, which will help us all get through this trial. So, without further ado, let me say hello to the people in the chat. Hello, Pagan Mama. Hello, Pariah Quail. Hello, Mr. Feared. Now that I have said hello, and I will continue to say hello as people come in, let us continue. We left off last time on this absolutely hellish disaster of a book on Chapter 9. So let us start. Chapter 9, A Rebirth of Hope, a Resurrection of Fear. It was the day of the Exodus. It was cold. Every day since the plague disappeared seemed colder. The earthling sky, I still do not understand why they call it earthling sky, continued its odd transformation. The color was familiar, crimson and black, the colors of the plague. Zonfer, Hayden, and 3 silhouetted figures stood surveying the crowd. No sign of Dankin and the resistance. Zonfer hoped he had decided to end his opposition to the Exodus. A collective population of Earth was joined in a giant celebration. Zonfer Square in Austria was packed with citizens eager to get the launch underway. Zonfer approached the podium near the Renaissance's ramp and began his address. Citizens of Earth, welcome to the day of Exodus. The crowd came alive, screaming and cheering for their leader. With his head held high, Hayden looked on in pride. In a matter of hours, we will begin our way to Tento. This is the day that we have all been waiting for. I hope that you are as excited as I. In a few short hours, we will write a new chapter in the book of our history. This is the single most important day in human history, and you are all a part of it. The crowd approved. They cheered once again with even more vigor. Zonfer's approval was at 100%. The people saw him as almost a savior, the New Age equivalent to Moses. Zonfer had completed his speech. As he descended from the podium, Hayden's targeting system went crazy. "Sir, we've got hostiles," Hayden urgently proclaimed. "I see them, General," Zonfer responded. In the near expanse, Dankin's resistance could be seen approaching the site of the Renaissance. It was a terrifying sight. Their formation was scattered. There was no clear organization. It was a 1,000,000-man posse, all of them armed and very dangerous. The resistance circled the crowd around the flagship. The 3 silhouetted figures stepped forward, slowly revealing their identities. They were Zonfer's 3 best soldiers. Their black combat armor held the noble Zonfer crest upon their chests. With their rifles at the ready, the 3 prepared for combat. Upon their right breasts were inscribed the names Venkman, Gallant, and Williams. Hello, Maslows. Welcome. Yes, a harrowing tale about 2 troubled individuals. Very troubled. Dankin was in front, his eyes wide. He paced uncontrollably. "Listen up," he yelled. The crowd immediately turned silent. They stared at the madman in absolute terror. What could they do? I am declaring war on every man, woman, and child here today. This is the start of a civil war like no other. I am taking this conflict right to Tento. We will battle on that hunk of junk there, and we will battle on Tento. I will not rest until all you peons are lying at my feet. Dankin grinned. His teeth chattered. He was manic. The crowd roared in anger. They were having no part of this man's attitude. They were ready for a fight. Who the hell are you anyway? A brave voice yelled from the crowd. Shut up. My name is not important. We are the resistance. Before long, you vermin will be calling us leader, not Zonfer. Dankin roared. Zonfer approached the podium. Dankin, stand down. My DF is ready for deployment. You don't stand a chance. You'll be slaughtered like pigs. Zonfer could take action now. Dankin had publicly declared war. This was it. D-Day. Okay. Dankin laughed maniacally. Try it. How about this? Will this get a reaction? Dankin raised his old assault rifle and fired on the crowd. Screams erupted. Citizens scattered, destroying the perfect line. That's it, General. Deploy the DF. He wanted war. He got one, Zonfer said. All units, this is Hayden. He turned to begin the offensive posture. The three top DF members were already engaging targets. All over, men, women, and young adults were seeking out firearms and weapons of all sorts to fight the resistance. Citizens were beating the resistance members in the streets with primitive blunt objects, pipes, and large rocks. Whatever. Gunfire lit up the sky like the 4th of July. Dankin struggled with a defense force member. The two exchanged punches. Dankin blocked and retaliated. He parried another hit and pinned the young soldier down. Do you honestly serve this pathetic idiot willingly? Dankin hissed. I serve him and only him, the soldier replied. Dankin laughed, then faced my blade. Dankin drew forward and made one long stroke of his bayonet. The blade sliced through flesh of the guard's neck like a hot knife cutting through butter. Zonfer leaped the protective barrier. He sprinted to a DF armored personnel carrier. He approached Captain Vernon Silas. Silas, get me a Redfield. Silas, get me a Redfield, Zonfer exclaimed. Sir, you're going to fight? Silas responded, shocked. Why else would I ask for a rifle, soldier? Double time it. Hello, Redfeather, and welcome to Storytime with Shaw. And no, Pariah Quail, I have no idea why he chose Austria as a setting for this. I suppose it's because he did not want to mention Germany. Excuse me while I adjust in my chair. The captain quickly retrieved the requested weapon and returned. He handed it to Zonfer carefully. Zonfer turned to the battlefield. Sir, Silas said hastily. Zonfer paused and turned again. Good luck. Zonfer nodded and saluted quickly. He ran headstrong into the epic center, not epicenter, epic center of the battle. Captain Silas watched his leader fade into the fog of war. He was thoroughly astonished. Zonfer was around 60 years old. However, his physique and endurance was that of a man in his mid-30s. No one but Dankin knew of Zonfer's secret past. The past explained his vitality. A river of blood slowly formed in the streets of Zonfer Square. The new beginning looked doomed. Zonfer fought tooth and nail with his DF and his determined people. As long as there remained a breath in his body, he swore to preserve the new beginning. Fall back! Everybody, fall back! Dankin cried. The gruff crew fell into a sloppy formation and abandoned their current offensive. Zonfer lay prone in a dimly lit alley near the resting place of the Renaissance. He held his breath and inched the trigger back. Thrack! 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 His A-92 Redfield threw its death. Every bullet collided with its intended target. dropping the enemy mercilessly. Zonfer sensed their retreat. He downed a few fleeing combatants and ended his offensive. "General, we good?" Zonfer asked into his comm link. "Looks like they're falling back, sir. This could be our chance to board," Hayden's voice squawked back. The time had arrived to board the Renaissance. With the members of the resistance nowhere in sight, this was the perfect opportunity to begin. The civilians boarded slowly. Zonfer was at the helm, waving his people to safety. General Hayden accompanied him in the endeavor. "Come on, people, we need to get this whale in the air, the general jokingly said in an attempt at some levity in the face of peril. Zonfer nodded and smiled. There it is again, he thought, a smile. The boarding continued until every man, woman, and child were safe under the care of the flagship Renaissance. In a matter of hours, they were safe and conversing with one another. Zonfer observed with his faithful general at his side on a perched catwalk high atop the commons area. "Would you look at that? Quite the sight," Hayden said in wonder. "Quite the sight indeed, General. Quite the sight." "Come on. We gotta do this quick. They'll be firing up the engines any second now," Dankin exclaimed. He and the resistance began to pile into the jets of the Renaissance. This was insane. This was more than insane. "Hurry up! Get in there!" he yelled. A stream of humanity continued on the suicide descent into the... Excuse me. Words are hard. A stream of humanity continued on the suicide descent to the engines of the biggest spacecraft ever built. Dankin stood in front of his crew. "If we continue down, this will lead directly to the maintenance block. That's going to be home for us, for now." His voice bounced off the thick steel walls of the Renaissance's internal workings. Dankin's right-hand madman stood appropriately to his right. "Jason, we need to get our crew moving. If we lag, we're dead," Dankin proclaimed. Fillmore Jason was massive. Dankin had met him years ago prior at an Austrian gym. He stood an inch over 7 feet tall. His hair was impeccably trimmed to a perfect crew cut. He had been working a dead-end job in retail when Dankin discussed his idea of a resistance force against Zonfer. Misguided and somewhat simple, Dankin's influence prevailed. Jason raised his primitive rifle and shot a short burst. "You heard the man. Get sprinting," he barked, the bass booming in his voice. This received the desired result. The huge group of scruffy combatants traversed the awkward engine block. The clink of countless boots resounded. It was almost deafening. They neared the maintenance block. Suddenly, an earth-shattering roar emitted from every corner of the engine block. Dankin staggered. "Ah! Run! Quick! Everybody sprint as fast as you can!" Dankin exclaimed. Seconds before the engines initiated, Dankin entered the maintenance block. Jason followed close behind. Dankin peered into the now almost active jet block. A few members were still inside, running as fast as humanly possible to escape their certain demise. "Run!" Dankin exclaimed. Suddenly, a rush of flames flooded the jet blocks. Dankin saw the 3 men engulfed in the unforgiving flames. He shrugged his shoulders casually and laid upon the warm maintenance block floor. He laughed quietly. What a day! What a day! The resistance had lived to fight another day. Dankin had proved himself to be a competent leader. Uncaring and insane, but competent. Activity in the Commons area hadn't ceased. The atmosphere had calmed considerably after the first wave of fighting. The Commons area was in lockdown. Zonfer thought it wise to be safe rather than sorry. Large, pillar-shaped machines lined the whole of the Commons area. A large makeshift banner indicated their purpose. All citizens find their assigned rooms. Upon them were touch-sensitive panels. A tone that resembled the sound of an airplane intercom beeped. "Attention! All residents approach the touch panels and follow the on-screen instructions. Thank you." Calming, mechanical female voice said, repeated on an infinite loop. the millions of people lined to await their turn. They had seen plenty of activity for the day. It was time for sleep. And hello, Kimberlina. Welcome to Storytime with Shaw. You'll have to forgive me as I take a drink, because we are beginning on Chapter 10 now. Chapter 10, A Renaissance of Conflict. Zonfer stood in the Renaissance Control, the main area of logistical and security operations on the craft. Perplexed by Dankin's fixation on death and war, he hoped a large-scale conflict could be avoided. The old warrior's eyelids were heavy. He felt them sagging. He could sleep for a year when this was over. General Hayden entered and approached him. "Sir, the citizens have settled nicely. Everybody found their respective quarters promptly." "Glad to hear it, General." Zonfer's gaze was distant. "Are you all right, sir? You look like you could use some rest," Hayden commented with concern. "Some, General? Your powers of observation may need tweaking." Hayden smiled. "Good news on the anti-resistance front. It looks like Dankin might be dead. Either that or left behind. His quarters haven't been accessed." Zonfer looked at Hayden with cynicism. "Do you actually think he would be dumb enough to try and go to his quarters?" "Come on, General. I'm starting to lose respect for you. Zonfer laughed. First smiles, now laughter. What would be next? Soft glow of the pot lights that lined the living quarters walkways melted across the expanse. Dankin's rooms was empty and dormant. The lights were out and no belongings could be found. Suddenly the doors cycled open. A small LED light softly illuminated the entry. Standing in the entrance was Dankin, bloody but still very much alive. His bayonet was soaked in fresh blood. He also carried a standard issued sidearm, the latest incarnation of the Beretta, a 30-20 model. He jacked it from a fallen DF soldier. The semi-automatic weapon was still a mainstay in defense organizations. It was known as Old Faithful in Zonfer's DF. He found a seat and took it. He knew he didn't have long. He inhaled deeply and closed his eyes. He asked the servant bot to get him a can of Diet Cola. The servant bot returned with the requested beverage and promptly left Dankin to his thoughts. Dankin knew that from this moment on, he was a marked man. Not only would Zonfer be seeking him, but also Zonfer's DF and recon. A contract would surely be put on his head. All of this and more furiously coursed through his mind. Enough. There was no time for thinking. Dankin decided to abandon his quarters for good. He knew that Zonfer would look for him here. He had in his possession a dank old rag. He could use this and a pair of pants he had to disguise himself and blend in with the less fortunate former inhabitants of Earth. He would no longer be able to use his battle fatigues. The citizenry knew him from his AAF garb. Dankin took his tattered battle garb, threw it in the bathtub, and burned it. Out with the old, in with the new, he muttered to himself. The remnants of the clothing washed down the drain. The sewer system on the Renaissance was dumped every 5 to 7 days, so no one would even know what he had done to cover his tracks. This was painful to Dankin. The clothing had meant a lot to him in the past years. It was the last remaining symbol of the lives that he had taken. It was now time for Dankin to take to the walkways of the craft. He would soon meet up with his fellow resistance members and brainstorm a plausible way of igniting the conflict. First, he wanted to get acquainted with the interior of what would be the battlefield, the Renaissance. As Dankin exited his quarters, he heard the clunk of boots in unison. Zonker's DF was on to him. He bowed into the shadows and disappeared. His demon-like visage dissolved into a cloak of obscurity. "Hello, Rixilla." Yes, the dark side is definitely with this one. Also, greetings to MTG Kitty. Welcome to my insanity and my torment as I read the Tento Saga. Over the preceding weeks, the citizenry spent their time adapting to their new lives on the Renaissance. Commerce Square was packed. It was the cultural and entertainment hub of the craft. Bars, nightclubs, and storefronts, and the like lined the walkways. The new businesses were flourishing. People were spending money like water. The constant chatter of citizens echoed throughout the area. The occasional outburst of laughter was heard. Mankind was flexible. They had the uncanny ability to adjust. It was hard to understand the size of the Renaissance until one was actually inside it. When placed upon land, the ship covered 800,000 square miles. There had never been anything like this built in the past, and especially in the realm of spacecraft. Its boundless ceiling stretched farther than the eye could interpret. The atmosphere processors hummed in constant activity. Looking quite different, Dankin scuttled the walkways. His hair was now fully grown in and coiled into dreadlocks. A full, long beard obscured any of the madman's recognizable characteristics. He wore baggy, droopy clothing. He wore a camouflage pattern hoodie sweatshirt with the hood up and khaki-colored pants. He was simply frightening and armed to the teeth. He searched the walkways for new recruits. His message didn't find much support. War was old hat. Everyone buzzed about the new beginning. The Renaissance was on a course for arrival on Tento. Timeline projections were cautiously optimistic. Zonfer left wiggle room for unforeseen delays. The citizenry was anticipating the descent into the planet's orbit. Zonfer promised a fantastic show. Dankin had learned how to keep a low profile while in public. Even with his drastically different appearance, there was still a risk of detection. Zonfer's DF would surely have his digital face framework programmed into their helmet heads-up displays. His first destinations were always the various bars. This was one area that Dankin knew plenty about. He was an alcohol aficionado. Beers, whiskeys, and wines, everything. He had requested countless different concoctions at the many different bars along the walkways of Commerce Square. The bars offered another priceless benefit. They were the best recruiting grounds. Nothing freed the inhibitions like a deep glass filled with bourbon. He was a date rapist with an entire... That was disturbing. He was a date rapist with an entirely different payoff. A dedication to the cause. A human life willing to risk all for his twisted vision of the future. Forget twisted visions of the future. That was a very twisted statement. B. I would not compare myself to a date rapist no matter what I was doing. Unless I was actually doing date rape. It was an especially active night at the Renaissance. Fluorescent diodes pulsated to the beat of the bland, repetitive techno. No one cared about the music. Dankin was no exception. He had bigger fish to fry. His posture slouched. Dankin approached the bar. Yo, B, what's going on, dog? I am beginning to sense a racism. The dark-skinned bartender said happily. Dankin was a regular. They took care of their regular. I'm good, Reggie, Dankin responded. What'll it be, B? Ha, never gets old, does it? He said, slapping Dankin on the shoulder. Dankin half smiled. I guess not. The usual, Reg. Dang, dog, you ever change up? That shit's gonna pickle your liver, man, Reggie playfully commented. Dankin looked up, peering in through his dreadlocks. You're not my mother, Reggie. Don't act like her. Vodka. Straight. Yeah, I know. Coming up. Settle down, Reggie said as he walked toward the opposite end of the bar. To answer your question, yes, I like everything. But I like the vodka here, Dankin yelled, pointing at the humble bartender. Reggie turned, nodded, and smiled. I suppose that Rev did put himself into the book. An average-built and handsome man sat next to Dankin. He snuck a glance at him and then focused his attention forward again. You look really different, the man commented. Dankin recognized the voice immediately. It was Dr. Waters, Zonfer's lead research scientist. You would too if you were wanted by as many people as I am. Waters snickered and took up a sip of his whiskey. I guess so. Dankin took his own glance at his neighbor. So you're my contact? How the hell did that happen? Reggie sat Dankin's drink in front of him. Dankin nodded in approval. Waters sneered. Pfft, I never liked Zonfer. And Tabor, that was it for me. I wanted to see that guy pay for the crap he pulled. Dankin peered into his glass. The reflections of the diodes danced through his drink like UFOs in the nighttime sky. Lucky me, Dankin proclaimed. You're damn right, lucky you. Waters paused and looked at his conspirator quickly. You have the account key card? Hello, Thulian. Welcome to Storytime with Sha, where I'm continuing my absolute torture by reading the Tento Saga. But as we pause here, I would also like to again make a note in case YouTube decides to copyright strike this. YouTube, the creator himself, the author of this book, has declared it public domain. Therefore, it is not held under copyright and is used with complete understanding of fair use. Thank you. Let me take a quick drink and we will continue. Dankin slipped him the requested object. Waters removed a small card reader from his jacket pocket and inserted the key card. The small LCD screen confirmed the details on the account. That is a lot of international credits avail. Perfect, he thought to himself. Hello, retirement. Waters whispered under his breath. He tucked the card and the reader deep within his inside jacket pocket for safekeeping. Dankin kicked back the remainder of his drink in a quick shot. The research documents? He extended his hand. Waters reached into his other jacket pocket and pulled out a thumb drive. He held it between his index and middle fingers in front of Dankin's face. He quickly snatched it. Handle with care, my friend. You're dealing with the Night of the Living Dead shit there, Waters said casually. When can I expect my new recruits? Dankin inquired with a grin. My colleagues will be transferring, he motioned quotation marks dramatically, to facilities near the maintenance block of the Renaissance tomorrow around 4 a.m. Waters glared at Dankin and pointed a judgmental finger. You better treat them right. I don't want any murder investigations with my name involved. Dankin glared around the bar in search of listeners. Why don't you just announce it to the world? You better get out of here and sober up. Waters looked into his empty glass. Yeah, I've been here a bit too long. I wouldn't have been if someone hadn't kept me waiting. Dankin had what he needed. He had gone before Waters even noticed. Waters looked at Dankin's discarded cocktail napkin. He ignored the message scribbled upon it. The Renaissance control was quiet. The only sounds were the occasional clicks of keyboards and mice. Zonfer's advisors monitored all activities at all times. They found themselves working overtime. A pot full of coffee was always available. The mugs needed constant refreshing. They could sleep on Tento. Until then, their eyes were needed. For now, they belonged to Zonfer and the Renaissance. Zonfer was in his quarters. His scheduled meeting with Riddick was taking place. He sat behind his steel desk, legs crossed and stroking his facial hair. It was a habit. Yes, sir. The framework of the craft is acting exactly how I thought it would. It creaked for a bit, but it's absolutely stable now. We're making good time, too. The projection estimates show that we will arrive in Tento's orbit in a matter of about 7 to 10 months. A year from now at the latest is when we'll be laying eyes on our new home. Zonfer nodded in approval. Unbelievable. Weeks ago, I feared for our future. Now, it's so bright. Yes, sir, we're fortunate. May I say that your leadership has been the reason for our good fortune. Without you, our race would certainly be extinct, Riddick sincerely stated. Without individuals such as yourself, Mr. Riddick, we would have been just as finished. Zonfer swiveled back and forth in his seat. You're going to have a lot more work on your hands on Tento. Building plans will be needed to be drawn up, and the layout of the main city, vegetation, you'll be working for 10 years straight. The two laughed in unison. That sounds fantastic, sir, Riddick said jokingly. Yes, you did pick up the wrong day to stop sniffing Gluthullian. I'm sure you're up for it. Let me think about that one. You're going to have to give me time on that, Zonfer nodded and smiled. Suddenly, as Zonfer and Riddick continued to converse, a muted sound of an explosion caught their attention. Sir, did you hear that? Riddick asked urgently. I did. Come on, let's get to control. They sprinted the short distance. Upon arrival at control, Zonfer knew the dung had hit the proverbial fan. His advisors barked back and forth. The group was a network. If one was clueless, the rest fell like dominoes. The security cameras were useless, all disabled. General Hayden approached Zonfer and Riddick. Sir, Recon and DF patrols have reported resistance opposition in Commerce Square. I suggest we deploy immediately. I agree. Do it now, Zonfer responded. Yes, sir. All units, this is General Hayden. We have a go for deployment in Commerce Square. I repeat. Zonfer hung his head low in a lazy posture. Riddick stood idle, observing the activities. Zonfer shook his head. He'd gotten his hopes up too high. Yes, you can go lick a window. Stella Lumina. This story was written by none other than Jason William Egroff, otherwise known as Revelation News, that Rev Dude 420, also JC from Red Hook. That is the glorious author of this masterpiece that we are currently reading right now. But yes, Pagan Mama, why wait? Go ahead and go lick a window. Thank you so much, Redfeather, for dropping the preferred emoji of the Shaw of Thirst channel, which is definitely the pink shit. We all need it. But again, ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining me and you would like to support my harrowing journey into complete utter insanity, you can. I take PayPal, I take Venmo, I take CashApp. If you're over on the YouTubes, you can also send a super chat. If you're over on the Rumbles, as it turns out, I actually do have Rumble monetized, so you can send a Rumble rant. Please do. I do need the distraction. YouTube, however, will offer you the chance to send a super chat in order to see some bouncing boobs. So if you'd like some bouncing boobs to break up the monotony of this story, send in that super chat. Otherwise, we shall continue. In a matter of seconds, troops arrived at Commerce Square. The scene was despicable. There was no reason for this. Thousands of innocents rested dead on the Renaissance walkways. Streams of blood paved a path down the cold steel. There wasn't a resistance member in sight. Captain Silas, the commanding officer, was appalled by the sickening display of cowardice. Silas's HUD displayed targets everywhere, but the platoon saw nothing. He attempted to address the resistance, his tone direct and limited. We can do this the hard way or the easy way. You can show your sorry asses and fight like grown-ups, or you can keep killing innocent civilians like the spineless worms you are. What will it be, huh? Silas was beyond the point of return. His anger boiled. In a distant position of protection, a shot rang out. Before the good captain had a chance, he was dead. The bullet decimated his skull, blood surging from the decapitation. It was an ambush of epic proportions. The shadows had concealed the silent assassins. They appeared quickly and began to slaughter Silas's platoon. Bullets shot out from every orifice that concealed the resistance member. The bullets tore ruthlessly through their victims. The screams were heard from every corner of the craft. Round 2 went to the resistance. The Commerce Square security camera activated at the perfect or worst possible time. It witnessed the entire episode. Zonfer, Riddick, and Hayden looked on in horror. Hayden broke to silence. "I can't believe what we just saw." Zonfer was steadfast. "General, deploy the heavy machinery." "Right," Hayden responded. These were his men, and he wasn't about to see them slaughtered. Yes, the character named Jason is over 7 feet tall and extremely muscular. I had to take a hit off my vape. Otherwise, I would go completely insane. Now, if you excuse me for just a second, I'm going to take another sip of my water. I hope you are enjoying the ASMR experience that is The Thirst reads the Tento Saga and slowly dissolves into complete utter madness. The armored personnel carriers and light tanks rolled into Commerce Square. The roar of barked orders and moving combat apparatuses prevailed. "Hustle, Captain Vinci. Words are hard. "Hustle," Captain Vinci said to his squad. "We will need to do a full sweep of Commerce Square, boys. Let's get this show on the road." The tanks and APCs lined up front to back, creating a solid wall of steel. The DF soldiers were perched atop the APCs, scouting for resistance movement. Transparent heads-up screens sat atop the gun emplacements on the combat vehicles. Screens glowed and clicked, doing their job. The APC in the front of the pack sat dormant. No one had exited it yet. Then the rear door cycled open, revealing the vehicle's contents. Inside stood 3 members of Zonfer's defense force, the same 3 silhouetted figures from the Zonfer Square conflict. John Gallant, Dorian Venkman, and Trevor Williams had been in Zonfer's DF since the beginning. When Zonfer first came to global power, the attempts at his life were constant. The Elite 3, as they were known, were the leader's personal security detail. They all held the official rank of Vanguard, placed directly under General Hayden. This rank was exclusive to the 3. They abstained from further promotion. They wanted to remain field operatives. That's what they did best. "Hello, Sydney. Hello, hostile hooves. I do not understand why your eye is twitching from this narration. But unfortunately, I am unable to diagnose neurological conditions." Their combat attire was unique only to them. The gray in color with silver trim. The default Z crest scrolled across their chest. Countless DF honors were displayed upon their right upper arms. Their specialty combat helmets completely covered their faces. The 3 stood at 6 feet with perfect physiques. Their A92 Redfields were hoisted upon their shoulders. They were ready for anything. The 3 exited the APC in search of Captain Vinci. While they all held the same rank, Venkman was the most senior member. Williams and Gallant agreed that Venkman was their superior. He had served for 10 years in the United States Navy SEALs and had seen almost every possible combat situation. The other 2 were younger, top grads of Zonfer's military training facility. Venkman ran the show. The captain wasn't hard to find. "Vinci, does your platoon have the marching orders?" Venkman inquired. Vinci gave a quick nod. "Yes, sir. My unit's currently doing a full sweep of Commerce Square. If any of those rats are still out there, they'll take care of them." Vinci studied Venkman's unique combat headgear. The perfect gray dome gracefully enclosed his entire cranium in protection. The black-tinted visor hiding his features glowed a muted blue where the warrior's eyes would be positioned. The familiar Z crest was etched on the right side in a glossy platinum finish. Venkman was pleased. Affirm, Captain. Williams and Gallant stood close behind Venkman, surveying the horrific scene that had confronted them in the middle of Commerce Square. My God, Williams said. The three paced slowly with their A-92s readied. Venkman spied a downed DF member. He shouldered his rifle and knelt beside the fallen comrade. He observed the embroidered name tag, Keller. He knew him. He took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. You all right, Vank? Gallant asked, his voice sounding almost robotic under the headgear. Venkman shook his head. Yeah, I just don't understand this. Why are these nutjobs doing this? We should all be thankful to Zonfer for leading us to safety from the plague. I don't get it. Murphy's Law, Vank. Something had to go wrong. This is it, William said, chiming in on the conversation. I guess so, Venkman said hopelessly. He observed a resistance corpse lying close to the fallen DF member. The resistance member's eyes were closed. Venkman closed his own eyes and found... Words are hard. Venkman closed his own eyes in search of solace. When he reopened them, the fallen enemy's eyelids were raised. What the hell? He muttered to himself. Somewhat disturbed, he quickly got up from his kneeling posture and stared at the corpse closely as he walked away. They continued on their trek. Vinci's squad was spread out all over the Commerce Square. Aside from the bodies, every establishment was completely abandoned. The civilians immediately fled upon the initial explosion in Commerce Square. Sporadic gunfire was heard time to time. The Renaissance was built like a layer cake. A huge number of levels and sectors stretched for miles vertically and horizontally. Sounds behaved oddly in the craft. Sounds of activity in an area miles away could travel through ducts and confound one's senses. This made for an almost constant low-tone drone of noise, sometimes prominent, other times muted. The three were now doing a quick sweep of a bar on a flat panel laid display above the... Again, pardon me, words are hard. A large flat panel display above the bar flashed the graphic, The Renaissance. You hear that noise, Vank? Williams asked. Venkman listened. Yeah, it's louder than normal. We'll probably be getting a comm call soon. Gallant stood, observing the animated sign. Clever name. Williams rolled his eyes. Yeah, right. Gallant looked at the bar. A crinkled cocktail napkin caught his eye. He picked it up and read, The Resistance Lives, was written in red ink, as well as crudely artistic drawings of the red, as well as a crudely artistic drawing of the red resistance fist. Yeah, no shit, Gallant whispered to himself and dropped the napkin. Abruptly, the Elite Three's comm links activated. This is Hayden. We've got the resistance all over. The central living quarters, the maintenance block, the commons area, everywhere. We need you back at Renaissance Control. We will need to come up with a plan of action. We've got to stop these maniacs. I am unaware if he used his proton pack. And greetings, Hatman. Welcome to my continued descent into complete utter insanity. Again, I will reiterate, words are hard. We've got to stop these maniacs. Hayden out. God damn, Gallant said. Come on, let's get back to the APC, Venkman said hastily. They exited the Renaissance and sprinted back to their APC transport. The war was on. I'm going to take a pause before we start Chapter 11 to take a quick drink and also to take a pull off my vape because my mind is slowly turning into complete utter mush reading this shit. Adjusted my chair. It is very squeaky. Yes, rent a sauce. Chapter 11. Villains and Vanguards. The maintenance block was dark. It was the perfect place to lie low. The resistance quietly organized, discussing operations. Denkin was the only member with any real military experience. He had been the main architect of the attack on Silas's platoon in Commerce Square. He may not have made it too far up the totem pole in the AAF, but he had plenty of ideas for taking lives. The resistance higher-ups, if there were such a thing, sat around a dimly lit steel surface in the Renaissance's mainframe room. Enormous cooling fans lined the walls, whirling with constant activity. The mainframe room held a supercomputer that stored and analyzed all of the various readouts from the Renaissance's systems. It was checked about every month or so for study by Zonfer's science department, the main focus of study being the artificial atmosphere and gravity regulators. This technology was still very new, and there was much to learn. The scruffy-looking gathering listened closely to their leader. 2 groups are plenty. I'll be heading one, Jason the other. I'll break up the roster soon. That's it. Excuse me, I am receiving a phone call from Mama Shaw. I will return in just a moment. My apologies for that brief interruption. Hostile Hooves, if you wish to interrupt the insanity and stall you putting on a blue wig, you can send a super chat and there will be boobies on the screen. Just a heads up. Let's see. 2 groups are plenty. I'll be heading one and Jason the other. I'll break up the roster soon. That's it. Oh, one last thing. Don't forget to kill a lot of people, Dankin said, laughing uncontrollably. The resistance members scattered randomly. Many of the million-member posse had already begun wreaking havoc. Dankin's recruiting tactics proved most effective. He compiled a frightening group of individuals: murderers, rapists, mental patients. He scraped the absolute bottom of the barrel of humanity. He needed every life he could get his hands on to be formidable against Zonfer's DF. Dankin exited the mainframe area of the maintenance block. He trekked the long corridor en route to his next meeting. The yawning of the still settling steel engulfed the massive passage. He turned the corner and found a small crawl space leading to a lower level. He reached the exit of the crawl space and entered the makeshift scientific research facility. A group of about 17 scientists worked feverishly. Laptops, various analyzers, and organized stacks of papers cluttering the steel counters. "Boys, how are things going?" Dankin said jovially. Several of the men...
At Pagan Mama 3 super chatted $2 to save hooves from the blue wig.
Thank you very much for the $2, Pagan Mama. I do need to move that alert up so that way it is not blocked by the What's Playing there we go. That way it is not blocked by the What's Playing banner. Thank you again for your support. Dankin exited the mainframe of the maintenance block. He trekked the long corridor en route to his next meeting. The yawning of the still settling seal engulfed the massive passage. He turned the corner and found a small crawl space leading to a lower level.
At Hostile Hooves super chatted $2. Carrie should check her hubby's phone.
Yes.
Face with peeking eye zany face.
Yes, Carrie should absolutely check her hubby's phone. Before we are not aware if he is actually on
At Hatman super chatted $2.71. More bubes.
Thank you very much for the super chats, everyone. You have definitely helped forestall everybody's climb into insanity listening to this absolute tripe. Let's see. He turned the corner and found a small crawl space leading to a lower level. He reached the exit of the crawl space and entered the makeshift scientific research facility. A group of about 17 scientists worked feverishly. Laptops, various analyzers, and organized stacks of papers cluttered the steel counters.
At Pagan Mama 3 super chatted $2. Tiddies for Hatman.
I am unsure as to why it is not reading your other super chats, Hostile Hooves. I did not realize that there were more. I do not see any more. But thank you for gifting Hatman with the titties there, Pagan Mama. Boys, how are things going? Dankin said jovially. Several of the men jumped in shock. One of them approached Dankin awkwardly. Things are progressing well, sir, said a mousy man with badger eyebrows and glasses. I am unsure what badger eyebrows look like. Dankin threw his fist in the air. Fantastic. So you've done most of the operations already? Yes, sir. It's a fairly simple procedure. Little to no risk of death. We've experimented with this alteration for years. It was nearly ready for full implementation, but he was having no part of it. The scientist's tone changed completely. Dankin scowled. Who? Our proud and stubborn leader. He thought I was mad when I suggested the program. He said, I've known scientists like you, better than you could possibly realize, and I won't let things like this happen under my watch. Whatever the hell that meant. And then he threatened to fire me if I even discussed Project R with anyone, the scientist whined. Dankin nodded. He knew what Zonfer meant, the warrior program in the AAF, part of Dankin and Zonfer's entwined pasts. Dankin's mind wandered for a bit then. In a sudden motion, he clapped his hands. Well, we're gonna show him, aren't we, buddy? Dankin said, wide-eyed. The scientist squinted at the resistance leader in confusion. I guess so, sir. Dankin fake cried. No one ever called me sir before, Dankin said, feigning a whimper. The scientist wasn't even close to feeling comfortable around Dankin. Waters had told him what to expect, but it was far more serious than he had let on. He was beginning to wonder if the huge financial payoff was worth the risk of being around Dankin. Doc, suit me up. How do we do this? Dankin said quickly. The scientist was confused. What? I've got things to do. People to see. Come on, Doc. I don't got all day. Dankin barked. The others present tried their best to ignore him. They went about their business nonstop. Very well, sir. Follow me. Dankin followed the little man to an adjacent space. Rows of makeshift operating tables cluttered the area. A bloody gauze was soaked in stainless steel bowls. Excuse me, words again are very hard. Bloody gauze was soaked in stainless steel bowls near the tables. Random operating tools were scattered throughout. Dankin looked around casually. "Nice place you got here, Doc." The scientist ignored the comment. "If you would please remove your shirt and lie on the table, sir." "I'm not that easy, Doc. You gotta buy me a drink first," Dankin yelled, laughing hysterically. The scientist continued preparing his medical equipment. He retrieved one of the metal bowls and scrubbed the equipment thoroughly. An infection meant certain death in these conditions. He found it easier to ignore Dankin's odd humor rather than respond to it. He hoped it would stop. "All right, I get the point. You're all business right now. That's fine. That's what I paid for," Dankin said, feeling dejected. The scientist filled a syringe with a clear liquid. "That my night-night juice?" Dankin inquired in a childish tone. "Indeed, sir," the scientist said as he plunged the needle head into Dankin's muscular forearm. "Ah," Dankin euphorically sighed. "Good stuff, Doc. See you on the flip side," he said as he trailed off. Activity in the Renaissance Control hadn't stopped for a second. The neck-breaking pace at which the war had begun was astonishing. The resistance seemed to be everywhere. Zonfer and Hayden had severely underestimated their numbers. The security cameras were all functional. The images that confronted them were horrific. The subdued glow of the LCD monitors bathed the room. Silence prevailed. Zonfer could only watch in horror as posses flooded the walkways and roads of the Renaissance, killing and terrorizing his people. In the conflicts, the DF was prevailing. The problem was confronting them. They were using hit-and-run tactics flawlessly. The resistance was an immaculate insurgency. Zonfer had seen all he could take. What a nightmare, he thought to himself. He stepped out of Renaissance Control to regain his equanimity. He stood in the hall of the executive wing, peering out of the massive viewing pod below. The infinite blackness and dots of white starred the words are hard. The infinite blackness and dots of white stared back coldly. The reality of the situation confronted Zonfer. Questions haunted him that coursed through his mind. The plague, this war, Dankin. Was he to blame for all of this? His eyes widened. Exile, he thought to himself.
At Pagan Mama 3 super chatted $2. The renter source.
Thank you so much for that $2, Pagan Mama. Yes, we all need a rent-a-sauce. We all need that rent-a-sauce. Exile, he thought to himself. More of his past confronted him. The seers, he had written them off as a bad dream. He remembered vividly the night they had touched him. May this scar be a reminder of your crime. He peered into the shiny finish of the wall in front of him. He touched the scar upon his face. He slowly lowered his head in angst. Perhaps his father had been wrong. Maybe he shouldn't have ever had the amount of power that he had acquired. His pursuit of power had always been driven by his want for peace. During the latter years on Earth, he clung to power through questionable means, sometimes criminal means. He found himself revisiting the Great Slaughter. It was the only way he could capture the power he sought. He shook his head in torment. His sins didn't go unpunished. It was the only way, he thought. Suddenly, Hayden exited the Renaissance Control. He turned and saw Zonfer peering into the vast nothingness. The two stood next to each other, glaring into the never-ending expanse of the cosmos in silence. The whirl of the Renaissance's engines was the only comfort for Zonfer and Hayden. "Sir?" Hayden said, finally breaking the silence. Zonfer failed to answer. He just stared. "Sir?" Hayden repeated. Zonfer inhaled deeply. "Yes, General?" "We've got Dankin on comm." Zonfer flinched. What did he just say? Hayden nodded. He must have gotten his hands on a DF. Oh, excuse me, I mispronounced that. Zonfer flinched. What did you just say? Hayden nodded. He must have gotten his hands on a DF helmet comm. He's... Why the hell didn't you tell me right away? Zonfer interrupted in fury. His deep blue eyes pierced through the general's soul. I'm sorry, sir. Zonfer promptly left Hayden for Renaissance control. A fire of vehemence boiled in his belly. If this were a year ago, Hayden would be on the unemployment line. Dankin scratched at his chest with vigor. Ouch, I'll kill that damn butcher myself if I get sick from that operation. Jason looked down at his own chest. Mine's all healed up. Dankin was aggravated. Well, isn't that fantastic, Phil? Now shut up. I got the big guy on the line. It was true. Zonfer waited patiently on the other end, listening to the comedy routine. You had an operation? Zonfer asked, interrupting the act. You see what you did, Phil? Idiot. Dankin cleared his throat. No, I just had a bit of a pain in my chest. It's passed. Too bad, Zonfer said definitively. Dankin giggled. We've got big surprises for you, Wolf. That's why I calmed. Thought you'd like to know what to expect. Zonfer's brows raised. Surprises? He responded. That's right. Big ones. Well, one big one, Dankin quickly retorted. Jason's booming laughter erupted in the background. Hey, dumbass, go do something, Dankin said angrily. His tone and demeanor had taken a scary turn. Out! He screamed at the top of his lungs. Zonfer listened in an angry confusion. This was odd, to say the least. This man that so casually joked with him was mercilessly killing the innocent. His ego was taking a hit. This was the guy he couldn't catch? Then Dankin's dark side surfaced. I'll say this and nothing more. Just when you think we're dead, we're not. Energizer bunnies. We take a licking and keep on ticking, Dankin said in a deep-toned hiss. The sound was the calm link being thrown to the ground and stomped on. Zonfer shook his head and searched for solutions. Hayden listened at the entrance of Renaissance Control. He didn't want to make his situation any worse than it already was. He knew that he had ticked Zonfer off. His eyes told the story. Sir, a seated female advisor said. Yes, Zonfer responded. May I make an observation? Surely. Name? Zonfer inquired. Alexia Dennison, sir. That man is clearly bipolar. I studied psychology and had a practice for years before I worked for you. I've heard hundreds of people just like him, most of which called a prison home. He is as dangerous as they come. I wonder where he got the idea for the bipolar. And hello, mighty Pomchi. This was written before the Wet Brain, actually. I want to say it was written in 2008. That's what I want to say. Zonfer stared at the gorgeous woman curtly. Is this supposed to be news? He asked rudely. Alexia was caught off guard by Zonfer's hostile attitude. No, I just meant that if you can get him into custody and medicate him, he'd be fine. Well, miss, if I could get him into custody, none of this would be a problem, right? Am I missing something? No, sir, Alexia said, clearly upset. Right, Zonfer said as he exited Renaissance Control hastily. The war waged on. Dankin was free. Times were not good. The crescendo of conflict had peaked to an inconceivable level. The Civil War's main front was in the central living quarters, a tragic twist of fate. No one was safe. The resistance plundered and murdered ferociously. They had gotten their hands on plenty of firepower, grenades, mines, RPGs, even some Redfield A-92s. I'm beginning to think that Jason has an obsession with the Redfield A-92 model. Dankin's resistance force had developed into a life form with many heads and tentacles. I will pause there to allow you to make your own assumptions on why Jason used the term tentacles. Some evil power must have guided the way for their organization to be unpredictably sound. Dankin split the million-man group into two major force structures. The individual members took it from there. They broke off into thousands of small posse-like hordes. Dankin and Jason, the group leaders, remained in the safety of the maintenance block. Venkman, Gallant, and Williams, the Elite Three, led Zonfer's DF in the area. Williams and Gallant knelt near the cover of an APC, firing and reloading in a non-stop cycle of efficient and necessary killing. Their Redfields were loaded with the latest ammunition technology, the Killer Bee. Only the Vanguards possessed these Only the Vanguards possessed these murdering machines. The three were perfect fighting machines, but they were also friends. When addressing Hayden or Zonfer, they went into respect mode, as they called it. In the field, they let loose a bit. "Hey, Will, does it seem to you like we have put a whole clip into these guys to down them for good?" Gallant asked on the comm. "Now that you mention it, yeah," Williams retorted as he emptied his clip on the corpses scattered on the ground. Williams went prone and prepared to take a steady shot at an approaching resistance member. He engaged. The Redfield fire sailed through the air. He hit the combatant multiple times in the chest. He spied the body closely. After a wait of about 20 seconds, he observed the corpse pop back up. He dispatched it accordingly. "What is this, the Night of the Living Dead or something?" "What?" Gallant inquired. "You know, the ancient zombie movie," he retorted in a matter-of-fact tone. "You're weird, man." Venkman was lucky as his two fellow Vanguards. Venkman wasn't as lucky as his two fellow Vanguards. He was pinned down inside an abandoned apartment room. He laid with his back to an overturned steel table, jockeying for a better position. His targeting system within his helmet beeped and clicked constantly. It was becoming more of a hindrance than a help. "Son of a bitch," he yelled as a bullet grazed the floor next to his position. A grenade landed feet in front of him. He promptly grabbed the frag and tossed it back. "Frag out," a resistance member screamed urgently. The villains scattered to the wind. Troom! It exploded in a furious maelstrom of chaotic shrapnel and flames, killing a few, but not nearly enough to free him from his death trap. Yes, fuck that particular word. Suddenly, he had a brilliant idea. It was time for the killer bees in his Redfield to do their job. He unlocked the helmet that coated his head like an exoskeleton. He placed it carefully under the steel table in a position of safety, but aimed toward the combat, aimed toward the combat so the targeting system keyed up the bogeys. He glanced at his Redfield. "All right, little buddies, do your thing," he whispered and trapped the butt of the rifle on the steel table. Upon hearing his targeting system's lock-on confirmation beep, he blind fired on the attacking resistance members, emptying his entire clip. The killer bees immediately sprung into action. They floated through the air, gracefully guided by the Vanguard's targeting system. A lock-on meant certain death. The bees began their attack. Heads started to pop. Each killer bee equaled to a kill. Each killer bee equaled a kill. The realization of inevitable death quickly entered the minds of a Venkman's opposing force. They ran in a panic frenzy, attempting to escape the swarm. Impossible. Before long, Venkman's suppressors were vanquished. He panted in nervous relief. That was a close one. "Vank, you all right?" Gallant finally chimed in on the helmet comm link. There was no answer. "Vank! God damn it, Venkman!" Gallant said in a panic. Williams railed on the continuous flow of resistance that poured from a massive breach in the east central living quarters wall. "Where the hell are they coming from?" he whispered under his breath. "Will, I think Venkman might be down." I'm fine. I'm fine. Had my helmet off. Vank's calm at last resurrected. Gallant exhaled hard. You scared the tar out of me, Vank. So, now you're worried. When those scumgags had me pinned down, you didn't calm. Vankman hastily squawked as he prepared to regroup with the remainder of the three. Come on, Vankman. We've got our hands full. We've got to keep pushing them back, Williams barked in frustration. Already en route, the battle-hardened vanguard responded. Upon his arrival, he decided it was time to update Zonfer. Taking a quick break. Yes, Killer Bee, I suppose that Frank is in this book. Congratulations, Frank. You are now in the worst tripe that has ever been written. Now, excuse me for a second. I'm going to take a quick drink. Chapter 12, Reconciliation. Feeling completely hopeless, Zonfer sat in his presidential quarters. However, he didn't have the luxury of time for sulking. That sentence confused me. The video comm device on his desk was active. The video showed Vankman knelt behind a DF armored personnel carrier with Gallant and Williams directly behind him, staying off the enemy. He yelled at the top of his lungs to override the deafening combat. Sir, this thing doesn't show any signs of letting up. We put them down and they file in twice as fast. I don't know what to say, sir. I'll keep you up to date. Out. Vanguard Vankman's assessment was dire and accurate. Every field report was identical. The resistance was strong. Very strong. Suddenly his intercom toned. Who is it? He inquired. General Hayden, sir. Zonfer beeped him in. Hayden slowly walked through the entry. Hayden's superior glared at him, his vitriol apparent. What is it, General? What are you going to fail to tell me this time? Zonfer screamed. Hayden stood motionless and expressionless. He understood Zonfer's anger. It was nerves. No one, even the leader of the entire human race, could withstand the pressure the 60-year-old man was under. He was around the same age as Zonfer and couldn't imagine holding the same amount of responsibility. Yes, he commanded the DF, but Zonfer aspired to protect all of mankind, even those the likes of Dankin. That was a very confusing sentence. Hayden knew he had to do some consoling. If he didn't, nobody would. Permission to speak freely, sir, Hayden said in an official tone of voice. Great, here it comes. Yes, General, he shot back. Back in the Corps, we used to say that we were closer to each other than our family members were. Times like these require that types of brotherhood. You were in the military. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Zonfer squirmed uncomfortably. My experience was much different, General. Although I was a type of recruit, during my time in the AAF, our soldiers were dropping like flies. Those SAT bombs were tearing us a new orifice. Zonfer smiled and laughed. I did not realize that the standardized assessment test was actually a bomb, but I suppose that with someone like Jason's intelligence, he would consider it a bomb. God, the CO was happy when the satellites went down for good. He talked about it for weeks. Anyway, I digress. It felt safer to not make friends. My partner Webb and I got along all right, but we didn't have a brotherhood. I knew plenty of fellow troops that felt like you described, though. What are you doing? Zonfer thought to himself. He'd always promised himself not to discuss his past with anyone. There were many skeletons cluttering Zonfer's closet of the past, and none of them were pretty. Hayden was pleased with himself. He had even got a laugh out of him. Score one for the Corps, hooray, he playfully imagined. Hayden closed his eyes and sneered. Sir, I just realized how odd this pact of ours is. A former U.S. Marine Corps general and a former AAF general. We should be at each other's throats. Zonfer inhaled deeply and exhaled slowly. I never fought the U.S. because I hated them. I fought for peace. Zonfer paused, shifted his weight, and pointed at the general. As you know, the war for humanity was started by your side, not ours, Zonfer yelled in a non-threatening tone. Hayden's smile was gone. He stared at the floor like a scolded child as he bobbed his head slowly. Can't argue with that one, sir. I was just doing my duty. As we all were, General, he said in a conciliatory manner. The General raised his head and smiled. I came in here hoping to make you feel better, and you end up making me feel better. Well done, Tyrone. Why don't we call it even? Hayden's smile shone brightly upon his face. I should consider getting back to control. All right, General. I'll see you soon. Hayden saluted and turned to exit. General, Zonfer said as he exited. Hayden turned back. Yes, sir? I think I understand the Brotherhood now. Thank you. He nodded and almost left, but there was one last detail. Oh, one last thing, sir. Alexia wanted to speak with you. Zonfer scowled. Really? Yeah, I think she might have a thing for you. In my experience, sir, women love power, even if it is... Hayden paused and chose his word carefully. Ruthless. He left the entryway hastily to avoid another inquiry. Interesting, Zonfer thought to herself. It had been forever since he experienced the love of another. Perhaps the gaping void inside the once heartless Wolfgang Zonfer could still be filled. I am confused as to what is going on as well, Redfeather. Time to take another puff of my vape. And again, if you would like to interrupt the insanity with some nice boobs, you can send a super chat on YouTube. If you wish to support in other ways, you can also donate to CashApp, PayPal, or Venmo. They will be linked either at the bottom of the chat if you are viewing this on YouTube, or at the top of the chat if you are viewing this on Rumble. Chapter 13. Mending a Damaged Soul. He had no idea how to do this, the leader of the human race, and he didn't have the first clue about how to approach this non-threatening woman. She may have been non-threatening, but she was breathtaking. She was young, about 30. Her long, light brown hair was elegantly streaked with blonde highlights. Her mane ended near the small of her back. As she moved, it flowed poetically from side to side. Her body was toned and fit, but not skinny. Her white administration issue uniform clung to her body like a second skin. Her facial structure was perfectly feminine. High arching eyebrows, almond-shaped eyes, and a graceful nose. The perfect profile. Alexia was a living, breathing dream. Of course, Jason would have to make it so his self-insert of Zonfer would have someone who is breathtakingly beautiful falling for him. Zonfer had fought countless battles in some of the most challenging circumstances imaginable. On none of those occasions had he ever feared or faltered. At this moment, mere days before the arrival on the new planet that mankind would call home, the unwavering leader found himself trembling. With all the activity, he still focused on her. The new beginning hung dangerously close to failure, and yet he focused on her. He slowly walked to her seat, his palms sweating. He inched closer. Alexia, he said softly and hesitantly, his voice unrecognizable. Not now, she retorted as she furiously pounded the keyboard in front of her. He cleared his throat. It's Zonfer. Alexia flinched. Oh, sir, It's okay. You were obviously busy. The transformation of his vocal pattern and tone was puzzling. She turned and smiled, brushing her hair away from her magnificent face. His pulse was racing. Their eyes were fixated. A mildly uncomfortable silence followed. Listen, Zonfer began. I wanted to apologize for earlier this week. This war has taken its toll on me, and I was short with you. You offered a good observation, and I attacked you. He trailed off. Will you forgive my ignorance? She tilted her head slowly and gazed into the hardened soul's eyes. I don't know, she said slowly. His stomach sank to the floor. She had to forgive him. Alexia, She laughed and interrupted him. Of course I forgive you. Zonfer smiled. Of course she was kidding. Why didn't he think of that? Well, since that's all cleared up, I was wondering if you would like to visit the presidential... Yes, she abruptly interrupted. He coiled. Really? She nodded, with a devilishly provocative gleam in her eyes. Zonfer might not have been very good at this, but he wasn't brain dead. That was easy, he thought. Yes, the complete opposite of Shani. Yes, I am also concerned that I may as well be having a stroke. Chapter 14. Mad Science. With the insurgency in the living central quarters mostly quelled, the Elite Three were on to their next objective. Their APC rolled down the center of the central living quarters roadway. It approached the vehicle lift quickly. The entrance to the lift cycled, and the APC roared onto the platform. Venkman, Gallant, and Williams breathed heavily. The combat had been non-stop since deployment. They were spent. For God's sake, I totally underestimated how many of these freaks there are out there, Venkman sighed as he checked the clip on his AR-92, or his A-92. Yeah, but something really troubles me more than anything else, Williams said in a dire tone. What's that? Venkman inquired. Well, the whole getting up after we put them down thing. I don't know what to make of it. Do you? I think I have an idea, Venkman said definitively. Williams and Gallant looked at each other in shock. Silence gripped the brothers in arms for a moment. Well, Gallant pushed. This one time, Zonfer was talking to a science officer. This is going back a few years. I don't know the exact details, but I heard stuff about a certain science project. Project R, I think it was called. Gallant and Williams peered at Venkman, listening intently. Their combat helmets rested beside them, occasionally bumping in the movement of the vehicle lift. Venkman compiled his thoughts and continued. All I know is that it had something to do with the DF and surgical procedures being performed. Zonfer exploded on the communication line when he heard the details. I guess R and D was performing tests on people without his knowledge. What the hell does that have to do with the resistance? Williams interrupted. Settle down, I'm getting to that. I'm thinking if Dankin could get his hands on some of Zonfer's science department research documents and then kidnap some personnel, Venkman eyed his two comrades. He could implement it into the resistance, Gallant said, completing the thought. Exactly. You think that's what the zombie stuff is all about? Williams inquired. It's the closest thing that I can come to an explanation, Venkman concluded. The three sat in silence. They hoped that Venkman's hypothesis was dead and wrong. The vehicle lift boomed to a stop. The lift exit cycled open slowly. The APC roared to life as it quickly exited the Renaissance vehicle lift. Last stop, boys, the APC driver exclaimed. You've got to be kidding me, Venkman said, upon looking out of the APC porthole. The maintenance block? He said, scratching his forehead. What? Williams exclaimed. That's just great. Don't we get back up? Gallant inquired. Apparently not. We are the Elite Three, Venkman said curtly. Yeah, but not gods, Williams retorted. Venkman scanned the area. Looks quiet. He activated his comm link with the DF. General, this is Venkman. We're at the maintenance block. What are the current directives? The comm link hissed and popped. Suddenly Hayden's voice buzzed. We've reason to believe that certain members of Zonfer's science department may have defected to the resistance. We've already uncovered a mole in Dr. Gillian Waters. He's been feeding Dankin Level 1 classified research documents. You are to scan the area for a makeshift science lab, dispel any resistance members, and retrieve any sensitive documents. Details as to what to watch for will be sent to your HUDs in a moment. Any questions? Venkman rolled his eyes and looked at his partners. Yes, sir, just one. Can we expect backup? You are to carry out the current parameters alone. All units are currently engaged elsewhere. You shouldn't encounter much retaliation. Is that all? Venkman hissed in frustration. Yes, sir. Venkman out. Gallant immediately sprung into disbelieving action. Vank, this has got to be a joke. There could be a million resistance out there. We can't know for sure. This is what we do. You know that. That's why we're vanguards. That's why there are only 3 of us to hold that rank, Venkman said proudly. Williams and Gallant nodded at their noble leader. He was right. Let's gear up, Williams proclaimed. They rose their cybernetic helmets to their upper torsos. The graceful domes hissed and clicked into their iridescent shoulder guards. Come on, guys. I gotta be somewhere for a pickup, the driver yelled. The 3 turned and looked at the driver in concert. All right, sorry, he said, almost peeing himself. The APC hatch cycled open quickly and the 3 exited. Their transport hastily returned to the lift and left the warriors to their objective. With their A-92s locked, loaded, and readied, they prepared for the inevitable. Well, this is a pleasant surprise, Williams said. Venkman nodded. Agreed. I thought this area was going to be crawling with those nut jobs. Don't you guys get all cozy. We're not out of here yet, Gallant chimed in. Always the optimist, Williams said sarcastically. Keep it down, Venkman said, as though reprimanding his children. The maintenance block was eerily quiet. The only sound was the occasional bang from the mainframe room, the whirl of the cooling fans and atmosphere processors surround them. They inched toward the end of the massive walkway. Venkman spied an opening in the steel wall. What's this? He said, inclining his head forward. What you got, Vank? Gallant inquired. Looks like we got something here, boys. Stay frosty. The 3 began their descent into the murky blackness of the Resistance's makeshift science lab. Venkman finally reached the exit to the crawl space. His A-92 mounted flashlight illuminated the darkened expanse. He peered into the darkness. Lights out, guys. Enable night, Venkman ordered. The 3 deactivated their flashlights and keyed up their night vision into the sides of their helmets. The sight that confronted them was horrific. Holy, Gallant said. The science lab was a slaughterhouse. Blood pools flooded the entire area. Corpses of men and women wearing white coats littered the ground. Venkman was unaffected. Just what I thought. He used them and threw them out like the morning garbage, he said. What's that mean, Vank? Gallant asked. We already know. We've been dealing with it all along. If this resistance keeps up, we're going to have a big problem on our hands, Venkman concluded. He activated his comm link. General, this is Venkman. The lab is filled with dead scientists. They're all from Zonfer's science department. They heard Hayden exhale in frustration. Damn. All right, collect their name tags and return to the DF. I've got to sort this out. General, you should know that the procedures performed were definitely successful. We've been noticing the effects. Please tell Zonfer that Project R has been implemented. Silence on the other end of the comm. Affirm. Return to the DF, Hayden finally responded. Eyes from a hidden position of safety in the science lab shifted maniacally. They watched every move the 3 made. As they left, the visage emerged. Dankin. Yes, I'm surprised you did not kick them. Oh, yes, I understand that me reading this tripe is very confusing. I am trying my best, but words are hard, and my attention span is flagging. Thankfully, we only have 30 minutes left of this, and then I will be ending the stream. Because again, I am keeping these to just 2 hours apiece. That way I do not lose my voice and my complete and utter sanity. Chapter 15, The Arrival. The flagship Renaissance chugged through the cosmos like an intergalactic supertanker. Immersed in the ultimate sea of infinite black, the gargantuan craft inched towards Tento, mankind's destination, their only hope. Zonfer, General Hayden, Dr. Alexia Dennison, and the Elite 3, minus their combat gear, sat in the observation dome. Excuse me, I am receiving another call from Mama Shah. I apologize for the brief interruption. Yes, there is 300 pages. Hello, that part. Welcome to Storytime with Sha. We are finishing up the last 30 minutes of the stream reading the Tento Saga. Thousands of speechless citizens lined the walkways with the gathering, observing open-mouthed. Duncan agreed to a cessation of violence for the event, even he wanted to see this. Zonfer and Alexia sat next to each other closely. He embraced her tightly with one arm. They peered into each other's eyes with smiles upon their faces. Zonfer's void had been filled. He pressed his lips gently upon her head and inhaled. Her scent was the smell of his salvation. The now familiar female mechanical voice spoke. Approaching destination, Planet Tento. Descent in 5 minutes. Weather conditions, moderate. Wind velocity. That's where everyone stopped paying attention. The group chatted quietly as they looked upon their new home in wonder. While boring in color, mostly pearl white and light gray, 360-degree view made for a fantastic theater. Tento's opaque cloud cover coiled around the planet like a giant anaconda. The iridescent flash of random Tentonian storms confronted the group's senses. Earth's beauty made Tento look like the earthling moon, but it would have to suffice. The Renaissance punctured Tento's atmosphere. A low-toned rumble commenced. Flames showered the viewing dome. Suddenly, the intercom tone sounded. "This is Renaissance Control. The entry may be a bit rougher than we thought. Thank you for understanding, and sit tight." Their descent continued. Their seats lightly rattled beneath them. Zonfer held Alexia tighter, and her grip tensed as well. Finally, the roar ceased and the rattling settled. The flames across the viewing dome disappeared. The craft broke through the thick cloud cover dramatically, revealing the perfect flat expanse of the Tentonian landscape. Immediately, the first thing to catch the group's attention was a Tilothian, a massive woolly mammoth-like creatures that roamed the landscape constantly. The thousands in attendance exploded in cheers. All eyes were fixated on their leader as they clapped in pride. Zonfer looked at Alexia. She was crying. Then something Zonfer barely understood happened. A tear fell. It dropped upon her face. She jumped in shock and laughed. They kissed and embraced. Zonfer's promised new beginning was about to be realized. But what about Duncan and the resistance? Would Duncan's promised cessation to the conflict last? Had he been touched at last by the sight of Tento? Hello, Freddy Flamingos. How are you doing today? Hello, Rainbow Shines. Welcome, both of you, to the last 30 minutes of Storytime with Sha. Unexpectedly, among the continuing cheers, alarm bells rang. The room quaked underneath the crowd. Zonfer and Alexia looked around in confusion and concern. "It's all right, Alexia. I'm sure it's just natural turbulence," he consoled. Alexia nodded, wiping the tears from her eyes. Venkman, Gallant, and Williams were nowhere in sight. After the unveiling of the Tentonian landscape, they quickly ran back to the DF headquarters to gear up. They were always on call, even on the day that mankind met its new home. Zonfer's advisor, who oversaw the descent, chimed in on the intercom. "We've got no problems here. We lost one of the turbo thrusters. Nothing to worry about. Sit tight," the advisor said in an unaffected tone. Zonfer's attention peaked. He sprung into action. Listen, Alexia, I need to get back to control. Whatever happens, I want you safe. I have a bad feeling about this." Alexia was distraught. "Wolf, what are you going to do?" Zonfer's expression was cold. "I have a feeling. I think Duncan might not make this day the peaceful celebration it should be," he said in a stoic tone. Without warning, his comm link activated. "Zonfer, it's Hayden. We've got a resistance posse in the Commons area." Zonfer was steadfast. "Is he with them?" "Yes, sir. It's strange. They're just standing in the middle of the commons. I don't understand it. God, there's so many of them. Zonfer's gut was correct. He bowed his head. He wished he would have been wrong. He prepared mentally for his final battle. This was going to end. He grabbed Alexia by her shoulders gently. I want you to go back to control. I'm taking care of this for good. The Renaissance continued on its rocky descent toward the Tentonian soil. It was nearly time to set down. The flight path had decided the landing spot almost a year ago. The perfect position had been chosen for the site of Tento City. Soon after the landing, erector bots would begin their job of constructing the city. Again, very funny word, erector bots. After gearing up, Zonfer accompanied General Hayden and his own squad to the Commons area. The APC waited patiently in the DF hangar, ready for deployment to the area. Hayden was astonished and confused at Zonfer's insistence to engage in combat. Sir, I'm confused. You have an entire defense force ready to give their lives for the cause of the human race's survival. Why do you insist on fighting with us? The general said, genuinely curious. I don't know what they taught you in the Marine Corps, General, but I know what I was taught as a private in the AAF. A leader should care about his troops. I do. Hayden smiled and nodded. He was impressed. Zonfer was a man to be admired. You've really changed, sir. You seem... Hayden paused. She found me, General, Zonfer interrupted. I had lost myself years ago, and she found me. Of course, it would take a pussy to bring someone back from the brink of madness. It shows that Jason, at this point in time, had not experienced the post-nut clarity. Hayden smiled. Hayden's smile remained. She certainly had. The APC driver chimed in on the comm links. All right, we're set. The combat vehicle came to life, the engine roaring. Just before they left, there was a massive quake. The Renaissance has set down on Tentonian soil, sir, Control chimed in on the comm channel. The start of a new era, after arrival, Zonfer said softly. The APC exited the hangar en route to the Commons area. Zonfer fervently hoped the resistance would end with the new era. The resistance stood next to the exit of the Renaissance. None of them moved an inch, but clung to their firearms tightly. Their numbers stretched nearly the entire expanse of the exit. Terrified citizens fled in panic. Thankfully, most were in their rooms in the central living quarters. Zonfer and Hayden's transport roared into the Commons area. It stopped abruptly, and they exited quickly. The collective force of the DF flanked in front. The Elite Three were nearby. They approached the APC and knelt beside Zonfer and Hayden. What the hell is going on, Venkman? Hayden asked. Venkman's cybernetic helmet glistened in the lights. I wish I could tell you, sir. They haven't attacked. They're just standing there. Venkman's robotic voice buzzed. Zonfer silently contemplated a plan and addressed his dedicated warriors. I'm going to talk to Dankin, Zonfer said quickly. His four comrades were shocked. Do you think that's wise, sir? I think I can talk him down. I've known him for years, Zonfer said shortly. The sound of the Renaissance exit cycling open. Again, excuse me, words are hard, but we are approaching the end. I will be ending it with chapter 16, just so we do not go over the 2-hour mark. That, and I'm beginning to feel like my brain is becoming like pudding, soft, malleable, and with no thoughts. I think I can talk him down. I've known him for years, Zonker said shortly. Suddenly, the sound of the Renaissance exit cycling sounded. Dankin had initiated the start. The three, Zonfer and Hayden, popped up from their knelt positions. What the hell are they doing? Hayden exclaimed. Zonfer was already approaching Dankin's position. The Renaissance's ramp finally rested on the soil. The strong Tentonian breeze flooded the cabin. It had a damp sting to it. However, it felt good in the lungs. Tento's coiling clouds could be seen in the background, moving slowly in the sky. Dankin spoke first. Well, here we are. It ain't no Earth, I'll tell you that. Dankin, I want this war to come to an end for good. Please extend the cessation indefinitely. Please agree to it, Zonfer pleaded. You know what I've got to say about that, Dankin said, reaching into the humanity behind him. Muted female cries confronted Zonfer. Zonfer cringed. His eyes widened. No, he thought to himself. Dankin had her. He pressed his 30-20 Beretta to her head and with that, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the end of Storytime with Shaw. Not exactly reaching the 2-hour mark, but I do not feel that it is very wise for me to continue, as my brain is slowly dissolving into a formless gray mass. I would like to thank you all for joining me on this travel into insanity. We will continue at a later date. We will continue with chapter 16 and further on until we have finished the book. Thank you so much for everybody who joined me in the chat. Thank you for my lurkers. Thank you for everyone who will watch this on the replay. Thank you for people who were gracious enough to donate through super chats and distract us from the absolute tripe on the screen with the boobies. I have been the Shaofthirst. You guys have been my most wonderful, delicious, delectable, absolutely the best and juiciest thirst quenchers. And I will see you the next time I decide to stream. Good evening and good night.